All right, welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is a regular live stream. We co-stream in our three channels here. You got Brian White from Futuraza. You got Nick Gibbs from Investing Against the Grain. We have a fun topic today. We want to know, of all the businesses that Tesla's in, which of these businesses is Tesla absolutely going to be dominating in, is already dominating in, and will just kill the market? There are just a number of businesses. We'll go through each one of them, and we'll talk about, we've got the two experts here, and they'll share their thoughts of how big the market is, who are the players, and where does Tesla and how do they actually differentiate between these different businesses. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, Brian and Nick.
A whole lot going on this week. It is exciting times, but it is always exciting times. This is an exciting company. And this is an emergent space. We've got a few topics to discuss, places where Tesla could very well be very important very soon. And I mean, they already are, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'll just add that it's not big, it's huge.
Okay. And do let us know real quick in the chat. Let us know how we're doing on volume mix, because that can be an issue at times, and we want to get that dialed in for you folks at home.
So I'm going to use this as a guideline. This is a Chintan Shah. It's a great list. It lists every single business that Tesla's in. Unfortunately, it's just not formatted in the best way. We're going to go through each of these, and we'll figure this out together, right? So you've got electric vehicles, you got commercial vehicles, battery energy storage, solar energy, charging, of course, FSD and robotaxi. You got insurance, the manufacturing, gigafactories, AI, robotics, and Dojo, Autobidder, and even the R&D. These are areas where Tesla could actually sell and make money. Some, of course, are much, much bigger markets than others. But our goal today is to go through each segment and talk about whether or not, Tesla is leading in the space. Could they have market domination and actually, in some cases, even just be the sole provider of the space. So let's start with electric vehicles. It's straightforward. You got the passenger vehicles, Model S, 3, X, and Y. You got the Cybertruck now. You got the Tesla Roadster. You're going to come up with a couple more vehicle variants. But in the end, this is the electric vehicle market. They only have a handful of car models versus, something like a BYD that has 18, I think now actually 21 different variants of their or different kind of car models. Let's just, let's not spend too much time, because obviously this is our entire community spends all the time on electric vehicles. But what are your thoughts on, is Tesla dominating the market in electric vehicles?
Well, I'll go first on that. The big thing is, in that category, I'd say we're asking the wrong question, because I think it's going to be the shift to autonomy is going to change everything, and Tesla's uniquely positioned in that regard. We talked about this maybe a week ago, where what Waymo's approach is to take a full price, full feature, full human meat car, and then add all of their stuff on top of it, where Tesla's approach is, we already have a car that can drive itself. Let's just not add in all the other things. So your cost savings is not even half. It's more like a 3 to 4-fold reduction in cost. As 60 to 80% reduction in manufacturing cost, it's going to change everything. When they said that energy is going to be as big as automotive, the question becomes, are we lumping robotaxi into automotive? Because if we are, it's going to be real hard to surpass the income potential that we see there.
Great answer, but stick to the topic, please. We're going to do electric vehicles, because we'll talk about FSD and robotaxi next.
So automotive, they absolutely have a lead. They've got the best charging network. They've got the best over-the-air systems. They've got remarkable efficiency, and they're best selling even before the Juniper refresh comes out. Do they need more models? Well, they've refreshed as of this upcoming Juniper update. They'll have refreshed all their models in the last few years, and they've got a Cybertruck. It's only getting bigger. So for automotive, I think they have, continue to have a bit of a moat.
What's your forecast for percentage of market sale of all new vehicles by 2030?
If we're Tesla. Are we including robotaxi in that? Because it changes the calculus entirely.
That's a good point.
So for meat driven, I don't know if they even want to become number one.
Okay, that's a very good point. That's such a good point, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the obvious answer to this one's yes. I don't think we need to linger on it too much. You mentioned BYD with all the different models. I personally think BYD is taking the wrong approach because I think we are in the more technology has advanced, we've seen that people don't care so much about variety. They care more about quality and experiential moments. And I think that's what Tesla delivers. And, you can just look at margins and you can see where Tesla is outdoing everybody on that front. And then the vertical integration. I mean, don't get me wrong, BYD has a good business, but theirs is much more of a Paul Bunyan approach where it's about human labor brute force, whereas Tesla is like the steam engine compared to Paul Bunyan, right? Where, yeah, you can keep up for a second or two, but as we really start to scale, as we really start to grow, we really start to add in other technologies, you're just going to be a laggard and you're going to die eventually.
I think you mean John Henry. Ah. Anyway, I get but you're right. It's the old the man who tried to outrace the steam shovel and died.
That wasn't Paul Bunyan? I thought it was Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan was a huge dude with an axe and a big old blue ox.
Okay, guys, let's get back to topic.
Good. That is what I was talking about.
That is the topic.
That is what I was talking about then, Brian.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
Thank you.
Okay, that's electric vehicles. Not as fun because we all understand that business. But what about the Tesla Semi? So it's Semi, that's the next part. Commercial vehicles, we'll call it, right? Tesla Semi just launched. They are, just started. They're going to go scale. But you've got Pepsi, you got DHL saying that this is the greatest vehicle ever. You had Elon saying just at the earnings call that this is unlimited demand for this. Every single company or provider need to switch to an electric vehicle. There are competitors in the space, but Tesla Semi has gone forward. Now, there's a conversation as well. Brian's going to say eventually it's going to become robo-trucking. Which of those other competitors can become robo-trucks, which could happen much sooner than we realize. But where is Tesla Semi fitting in terms of the competition, and do you expect it to be market domination?
Herbert, just for the sake of, because we're going to keep going into this as we go through these, should we look at this at this point in time or look in 2030? I mean, let's narrow in the scope so we can make you happy and you don't yell at us.
Yeah, I'm not talking about this year. I think 2030 is a good, where would we be by 2030? This is this is a product that Tesla is offering today. We're going to go through all the different businesses and which ones by 2030 is market domination. And I don't know, let's come up with a definition. 60% of the market, is that market domination?
It's just majority, right? Just
majority.
leaders.
Even just largest player, I think would be enough.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's talk Tesla Semi.
So just because I'm on mute, I'll jump into that one. I think by 2030, right now it doesn't look like it from a lot of different metrics, right? I mean, especially when, if you throw in things like Sprinter vans and whatnot, right? Like that form factor, that's still commercial, in my opinion. If you look at that segment, and when we say semi, you didn't say electric semis for sure. So we're definitely not the leaders in that at the moment. Mm-hmm. However, I think this is kind of one of those FSD moments where it looks like Waymo is ahead because they're out there, they're giving rides, but in reality, everything's happening in the background. You'll eventually see that it eclipses it and surpasses it very quickly. So kind of a slingshot effect. So I think that by 2030, you will see them as market leaders, especially as we see the Nevada plant coming up quickly. And you also start to make improvements when it comes to FSD. I think it starts to perpetuate itself. You throw in improvements 4680 battery. If that is the way things are going to go, if they start building that out, the economics alone make it make sense, and the math just math. So I think by 2030, yes, but today, you really have to know what you're looking at to understand where we're going.
I'm going to agree with all those points. I'm going to add to it that if you're a trucking company and you're buying a new diesel semi-truck today, who do you choose? They're all about the same. They're all pretty comparable to one another. Probably who you're going to choose is who you've already got. That way your mechanics know what to do. It's nothing new. It's nothing difficult. But if you're going to be switching over to electric at all, which a lot of companies already are and increasingly will as the costs come down and the use case becomes clearer, what we're going to see is, well, if we have to switch entirely to a new drivetrain, we can switch brands now. We're no longer tethered to Kenworth or whomever. So if you're going to switch brands, then you've got to do the math from scratch. Who's got the best offering? We know who's got the longest range. It's Tesla. And while a lot of semis on the road now have things like blind spot, cameras and other safety features, we know from other automakers that those don't scale into autonomy the way Tesla's approach does. And if Tesla's going to have the ability to, maybe not today, maybe not next year, maybe not even in 2028, but if it is there and it is the promise, I think that is worth extra money. It is at least worth extra consideration. So the demand, I believe, will be there for Tesla to dominate. Then the question is the manufacturing going to be there? And I think we all know the answer is yes, they can manufacture like nobody else out there. So they've got a product that leads across several categories, at least according to the trucking companies who analyzed it in Europe this year. And there's no reason it wouldn't be by 28 to 30 the, if not certainly the biggest electric semi maker, but it would be definitely nipping at the heels because these products cycle. No one keeps a semi for 50 years. They keep it until it expires. And based on the mileage, you could see the entire fleet turnover in 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, so we're talking about commercial vehicles, of which only Tesla Semi is one that Tesla is offering. I think they're going to dominate this just massively because of a couple of reasons, right? One is that you don't just sell a truck to these companies. There is Dan Priestley, who's in charge of the Semi program, said that they basically manage a company with their infrastructure, right? You got the energy, you got the charging, mega charging, and maybe even in future solar panels, battery packs, those kind of things, supporting this. And then it goes to trucking, which again, what other companies can have that all in one vertically integrated solution. And then eventually you have the robovan. So the robovan is not just for passengers; it also will be goods and service goods as well. So it's going to be different form factors. It's going to be robotaxi. So commercial vehicles could be a big market. The only thing is, like, I know you were saying that, Brian, but it's just a priority for Tesla. I don't know where this fits in because they have so much more opportunities with the Cybercab, with the bot. Maybe if you have the bots already helping build these things, maybe it's going to be automated, but that's the hard part. Okay, that's commercial vehicles. The next thing, let's just jump here. Of course, we'll come back to robotaxi and FSD soon, but battery and energy storage, right? So this is battery production, including the 4680 battery cells, power wall, power packs, mega packs for utility scale energy, and then similar, sorry about this, go all over here, and you've got down below here, I think it's Tesla Auto Bidder. So that's part of it too, right? So that you got that, and you got the AI-driven platform for real-time energy trading, renewable energy use and storage, aims to revolutionize energy markets. What do you guys think about energy? Where does Tesla fit in terms of market domination?
Huge, just the hugest. It's
Hugest.
Hugest on a show that is coming up in a couple days with Herbert. I've already run through the fact that Tesla is the only AAA rated energy storage system company. You can get a CATL pack, a BYD, an LG, an ABB, whoever you want, Samsung, and they're all good products. But Tesla's got the best product, the best innovation, the best offering. And the price works. It is dominating. The only question is how fast can we make them? How quick can we get them out there? And as the prices continue to drop, we'll find more and more use cases for them. This is just getting started, and it's very, very attractive.
Talk about the competitors and the differences.
Oh, sure. You would think somebody like BYD, LG, or Samsung would have an automatic built-in advantage because they're the ones making the cells. They're making the actual batteries themselves. So how on earth can Tesla purchase those and still sell a product at a competitive price and still get a 30% margin? Well, we don't know if it's actually 30% because it's so lumpy. It could only be 20 or 25, still a remarkable markup. And the answer is because it's a better product. With Auto Bidder in there, you can actually save your customer money. When you look at in China, they made a plane designed to compete with a Boeing passenger jet, and it was cheaper, but no one would buy it. And not no one, but companies didn't want to buy it because the fuel efficiency wasn't there. So even if the plane was free, over time, it would still cost more than a Boeing or Airbus rival. So if you're going to save your customers money every single day, these are customers who will absolutely look at things like reliability and how much money the total lifetime cost of the product is.
Nick?
Yeah, so this one's, I think, a little complicated because when it comes to the storage side, and mind you, like this is ironically, it's probably where I should be like the most well versed given my background as an engineer, but it's just not the one I've been most interested in. But I think I don't think by volume Tesla is number one when it comes to battery storage. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that, so you guys keep me honest. And again, Brian, Herb, if you guys know better, interrupt me now so I don't sound like the biggest idiot.
I don't know the actual numbers. It would not surprise me if they are not number one, except by revenue, just like how they were matching Toyota's revenue on a fraction of the production. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're ranked as 2 or 3, and I think it kind of alternates there. So there's that, right? So I guess that one's just how do you measure it, right? I definitely think when it comes to brand recognition, scale, reliability, AAA, all that stuff, right? The software that goes with it, when you look at that in totality, then I think you have to give the nod to Tesla. When it comes to batteries, I think that's also one that's a little different. Obviously, there's a lot of battery makers out there, and I don't think that we have had enough transparency, I think on purpose from Tesla about where things really are with the 4680, to have a honest answer on that one. But I would say that Tesla, we can tell, is clearly making breakthroughs that the industry has kind of been stagnant on in some ways. But we're also seeing other breakthroughs from other manufacturers. Look at different form factors. Obviously, LG's coming out their 4680. I don't think it's exactly the same. Or was it LG or Panasonic? Look at this. See, I'm just not that well versed in the space anymore. One of them is doing a 4680 as well. But my understanding is it's not the dry electrode process. It's not similar. The form factor, the can itself will be the same. So I think that's gonna be another one that's kind of in stealth. And by 2030, I would venture a safe bet that they will have kind of a battery day of sorts to just let us know, or maybe not even a battery day. Maybe they just finally start to share some of the numbers. I think they're very much we're tired of people stealing a lot of our ideas and what we're doing by trying to be transparent with everybody. So they're trying to keep things a little more hidden. So it's just, I think it's hard to say definitively, but clearly they're in the top players. And I think they also don't want to scare away competition. And, all of a sudden that competition, that's also their allies, they need, right? I wouldn't say we're battery constrained, but looking to the future, Tesla can't make all the batteries if the goal of what we want is true.
Okay, I'm going to stick my neck out and tell you guys you're both wrong. Energy is going to be one of the biggest markets that Tesla is going to dominate. And the simple reason is that they know how to build mega pack factories. They know how to build it at speed. They've got relationships with all the major countries. Elon has gone around shaking hands with all the states. What, Nick?
You can't say that we're wrong and not tell us what we're wrong about. Like, what was that?
Well, I heard you both say that we don't know if Tesla Energy is going to be a market leader and market dominance. And I'm saying that There's all these competitors today, but who's going to build megapack factories in 9 months and faster in the scale in every single country? You need to build a
LG,
megapack factory
Panasonic.
locally in the country because they're the size of a semi truck. They're so heavy you can't just
But
build in one place and distribute it. So you need to be fast and you need to have the relationships. We just had the Indian state. I know the conversation with India government's going on, but they all want megapack factories. And so who's going to create the third, the fourth, the fifth megapack factories at scale, at speed, at low cost? So I think that's the race.
I think all of them are going to make them. The thing that's holding them back is that their software isn't as good, but their software will improve over time. Building megapack factories is quite easy. I think Tesla could be the iPhone of the ESS industry, where they are not commanding 50% of the market, but they are commanding 50% of the markup. And that wouldn't surprise me, but competing on just strictly batteries with BYD or LG, the BYD batteries have been pulled out of government installations over security concerns. That's an advantage to Tesla, but I don't know how critical it would be. Everybody's trying to make 4680s. Nick, you were right. It was Panasonic that you were thinking of that most recently has actually gotten theirs to a point where it can be marketed. But if you look back at you put in the name of any manufacturer of batteries at plus 4680, you'll see they've all been working on it for a few years. There's just something vexing about the form factor that's been holding them back. And I think it's the fact that they don't have the patent for the tabless design, and maybe that's the issue. So it would be, because I think Panasonic's is a 3-tab or 5-tab design, which does not infringe, I guess. So yeah, I think Tesla can do very well in this space, but I don't think getting the competition up to speed is as difficult as we think. And these are all companies that are very good at building battery factories. We know because we buy their batteries.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we're doing today is we're going through all the businesses that Tesla has. We're evaluating which of these businesses could Tesla actually dominate in the market by 2030. We just covered electric vehicles, commercial vehicles, and now we just covered batteries and energy storage. Solar energy, solar panels, solar roofs was being sold through Solar City, which Tesla bought. It seemed to be that Tesla pulled back from this business. In fact, certainly never met its goals. I'm not even sure if it even exists at this point. Solar energy, what do you guys think where that market's going?
I'll let you go first, Nick, because I don't have anything polite to say.
I think this is again, I think it depends on how you look at it. If you look at it from price, I believe Tesla has the most cost-effective solar panels you can buy, at least in the States. I think that's the only good thing I have to say about it. Honestly, I don't think Tesla needs to be in this space at this point, but I think they should for the overall mission. But I think at this point, it's more charity work than anything.
I'm going to agree completely. I think I think they had grand ambitions, and reality of how unique every build is in the real world got in the way. Tesla's all about extreme scale, and it's hard to extreme scale things if you can't cookie cutter them. And then they had to deal with a million contractors in a million places, and they can be, some are fantastic, some are less reliable, and it just creates a real headache. And it doesn't look like they were able to get their production costs down to the level they needed, which I think was dependent on a scale they were not able to achieve. So it feels like solar is on the back burner, if not, a bit forgotten at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herbert, just real quick, I just want to add a little more context to what I was saying. I think part of the reason I say that this is like charity work for Tesla is because where Tesla likes to interject themselves is when they believe something needs to be done and nobody's doing it. I think at this point, there's many companies out there doing solar panels. So I don't think that's an actual problem. I do think Tesla should, if assuming I was there and assuming that we had the cycles and the manpower to do this, but I would double and triple down on the solar roofs, because I do think that is a really good novel idea. It just, I don't feel like they've put the same effort behind that the way they have with other problems. because again, I don't think it's as meaningful in the, call it, from now to 2030. But I do like, I wish I could do that on my house. I would do that in a heartbeat. But right now it's very cost prohibitive.
If I was to guess, I think that Tesla deliberately is moving away from solar roofs. Solar roofs was very difficult, doesn't have much of an advantage, and they don't have much of a margin on that. However, I still am holding out hope that Tesla is not abandoning solar energy. I've been saying this for quite a while, that in the master plan part 3, they had 3 pillars for the plan, right, to get to a sustainable energy future. Number 1 is energy generation. And there's no energy generation. Elon keeps talking about the sun as being the greatest, fusion reactor in the sky, right, available for us. But I think maybe it may not show up as a solar roof per houses or businesses, but rather maybe a large solar farm. And I know maybe even Tesla won't do it because they don't much make money on it. But if the energy needs for all of these, data centers, and you know that everybody's building these nuclear power plants, they're trying to build it between the waterfalls. If there's some sort of, if there's some idea that Elon has figured out that you can build this, solar panel desert somewhere and then be able to power enough for all of these data centers, maybe there's like a grander idea here beyond just these solar roof ideas.
Yeah, I think that gets a little taken out. I think people miss the point when Elon says that, right? He says that frequently, like if you had like a 10 mile by 10 mile area, or 1 mile by, I forget what he says. That's true on paper, right? But the part that is missing from there is transmission, right? We got to get that from point A to point B. And that's where the distributed nature of solar roofs make a lot more sense. But I think Tesla has come to terms, or not even come to terms. I think they have put enough attention into this space that there are so many people doing this, right? They've talked about it. You're seeing nuclear make a resurgence that is just not really needed. Like you need Tesla to focus on the hard problems that other people can't solve, haven't solved, or aren't willing to solve. If you look at anything Elon does, anything they take in house, it's when other companies aren't doing it, won't do it, can't do it. This is not in Tesla's.
I'm going to agree with that.
Yep.
I'm going to agree with that completely. When people are saying, why doesn't Tesla make a phone? The answer is because great phones already exist. They cannot disrupt the space. Why would they try to do that? I've seen people say that Tesla should get into nuclear power. Nuclear power is not particularly ripe for disruption. There are companies that have brilliant engineers who are working on things like small nuclear modular reactors, thorium, all those things with limited success. And those projects take forever. They take generations to engineer and implement. And so Elon focuses where disruption is awaiting. The boring tunnel is a great example. Neuralink's a great. All the companies are great examples. And they're all very difficult, and they're all moonshots. And all of them are either on their way or have arrived at the moon.
Yeah. Let's talk the next business here that Tesla's in: charging infrastructure, supercharger network for Tesla vehicles, destination chargers. How big of a business is this? Is it already a foregone conclusion at this point that Tesla is absolutely dominating in this space and will for a long time?
I don't know. The numbers are kind of hard to figure out. You need to look at the utilization and look at the price difference between what Tesla's charging per kilowatt hour and what Tesla is paying per kilowatt hour, or per kilowatt, because either way, because the juice, it does not cost what Tesla's selling it for. And if you look at the out-of-network cars, they're paying like $10 a month to get Tesla pricing. If you get just a couple thousand of those, you got enough money to build another stall every month. And that doesn't sound like much, but now make it 1 million cars. Now you've got enough to build thousands of stalls. So it is. Are they going to be dominant? They already are. Are they going to make a cajillion dollars? Less clear. I think all that money is just going back into building out the network. So, I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think this is a foregone conclusion. Not even just for the cost to build and all that, just the uptime, the experience, the software integration. There's obviously going to be other charging stations here and there, but it's gonna. I mean, I think Tesla supercharger stations are gonna be like if Apple and Android were one company in the smartphone industry. I mean, Tesla's already disrupting themselves, going towards wireless charging. So it's just, nobody can keep up with them. To me, it's no different than Starlink right now. There's going to be other satellites up there. Amazon's going to launch Kuiper with SpaceX, so there's going to be other stuff up there, but it's over. Starlink has won. Tesla has won supercharging stations. It's done.
Love it. Good answer. Okay. That's a smaller business, of course, the charging infrastructure, automated and autonomous driving technology, FSD. I don't even know if we can talk about that separately from, sorry that I'm scrolling, guys. It's just not done. This didn't have this set up. This is from Robotaxi. Can we have this conversation without talking about Robotaxi? So
I'd say we can, but we can, because they are still technically two separate products. There's the product I purchase for myself or rent for myself, and then there's the service that I get when I'm at the airport. So yeah, how do you want to tackle it?
And there's the licensing of FSD.
Okay.
That's not on that list at all, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I mean, yeah,
it's a bit far out, but let's talk about it.
It's not happened yet. So this is the businesses that Tesla's in.
None of this has happened yet. Robotaxi haven't happened yet, sir.
Okay, good. Touche. Good one.
Boom.
Okay.
Boom.
There
So yeah, go ahead.
You go.
Well, so FSD, are they going to dominate? Yes. I mean, if someone else comes out with a pretty good rival to it, a working rival to it, congratulations. Now it's going to take you years and years to get as many vehicles equipped as Tesla already has. If Tesla solves it today, level 5, today, you've got millions of customers waiting to buy it. Well, you know what? I don't want to buy it. Great. If it's solved today, somebody will buy your car for more than you paid for it. And I think the FSD part can be separated because it is separate. Robotaxi, I feel like we've talked about a lot, but just the FSD aspect, even if it's just $100 a month, you've got 7 million cars. Are you going to frown at $700 million a month coming in? That is essentially pure margin. And that's why Tesla is pushing so heavily on it, and why they've installed so much processing power. And Herbert and I had a show that's coming up where we're talking about, is it actually coming by the end of next year? And we've heard this promise before. What's different this time is the amount of compute that Tesla has access to.
So let's be humble and let's say that as of today, when it comes to robotaxis, Tesla is a laggard. They are technically not even number 2. They don't have a single robotaxi out there. By 2030, before 2030, in my opinion, but by 2030, this will be flipped on its head. All right. And I think by 2030, it'll be unequivocal. And in my opinion, this will be much like superchargers, much like Starlink. The reason for that is, even if we were to assume that there was a number 2 that could figure it out, whether it's Waymo, whether it's Baidu, whether it's BYD, whether it's someone else, whoever, what they still don't have at that point, I imagine, is the experience. The software still probably won't be as seamless. And I'm just speaking from experience, as we see with everything else. They don't have the internal vertical integration with the vehicles, the manufacturing, the plants, and all that, which don't forget, that is going to allow them to offer even more affordable rides than anyone else. So what do you do when you're more expensive than Tesla? You have a worse experience than Tesla. Your margins are worse than Tesla. Like, what do you do? And to me, it's going to be game, set, match by 2030. Probably before that, but let's just say 2030. Now, where Tesla does have a lead today is in FSD, right? Those are two different things, robotaxi and FSD. Because today, you cannot buy another ADAS system, another FSD-like system that I can get in right now and just go anywhere. There is not one I can buy. You're on mute.
There is one. It's called Comma AI.
Um,
I wouldn't call it quite comparable. I would say,
yeah.
to Nick's point, I would say that the best ADAS you can purchase is usually not remotely as good as the free autopilot you get with a Tesla.
I'll give it to you, Herbert. You're right. That does exist, but we're talking about, are they the market leader? Are they number one? It's
Right.
unequivocal that it's FSD, right? Ford, you can't buy anything. Waymo, you can't buy anything. That's comparable to what FSD is. Comma AI is not comparable to FSD, right? The safety's not there. The vertical integration is not there. None of it. So they are ready to lead on that front. And the other place I will say that they're leading is in licensing.
Yeah.
Because we have not heard anybody else other than Tesla mention a potential licensing agreement. We have not seen heads of other companies, such as Stellantis, at anyone else's FSD robotaxi launch. So I would say that Tesla today is leading in FSD. They're leading in the potential for licensing this software out, and they will be by 2030 for sure the unequivocal leaders.
And that's a great point, because Uber has come out and said, without Tesla leaning over their shoulder, said, we will absolutely have that conversation. Thoughts,
We're
Herbert?
talking about robotaxi and FSD. I am a believer that it's going to be winner takes most, because of everything you just said, Nick. The cost per mile is just so attractive with Tesla's strategy here that you can undercut even if there's others who then get the technology in place. The focus of Tesla is so much on costing, reducing the features, everything you just said, all the features. I don't know how, we just had this show as well, Brian and I talked about it, where people say, oh, Waymo is already out there offering robotaxi services. They already have an app. But you compare their app with Uber's app versus Tesla's app, it's not comparable. All the features that Tesla can offer you for robotaxi, walking in and being able to press a button and it's exactly personalized to your everything, your seat placement, the heat, the music, all the entertainment. No one has that. The ability to know which supercharger is supposed to go to, how many other cars are heading to that supercharger, to then redirect you into the right place to totally optimize the cars, where they're going. It's just, so by the time the others have copied the technology, by that point, the cost, and if you can have scale and mass scale, the bigger scale you have, the lower the cost of the vehicles, the lower cost of the rides, then it becomes almost hard for anybody. And that's the reason why Uber has 85% of the market and Lyft has 15%, despite the fact that the two of them are exactly the same, because one came out there first and then they're able to kind of undercut them. And there was a price war for for a hot minute there, and then that went away. So yeah, I think that's the case. Let's move on. I mean, we can probably come back to robotaxi because that's a big one, but another business that Tesla's in is insurance services. Tesla Insurance for Tesla vehicle owners. That's what they're currently selling today. Is this insurance business a big business? Is there something here that's going to be competitive out there? I'm not sure if Tesla's going to offer insurance to other car owners outside of Tesla Insurance. What's your thoughts on that, Brian?
So on insurance, it's tough. I mean, it's a big market. The real obstacle they're facing is regulatory approval on a state-by-state basis. Every state has their own insurance commissioner, and we don't know what the delays are. I know from other things that have happened in the past that medical insurance companies have had trouble getting regulations set up interstate, and I know that even just insuring cars can be the same kind of nightmare. But if little no-name companies can manage to get in so many states, what's the delay with Tesla? And I don't know the answer. Can they lead? Yes, they can lead in ridiculous ways because they have the telematics. It's not just a little like progressive snapshot. It is a context-aware snapshot. It is a context-aware real-world measuring system. So what's going to happen, what's likely to happen in states other than California where telematic analysis is restricted, is that the safest drivers will all wind up on Tesla insurance. The people who are at the very, very lowest risk based on how they actually drive will all end up with Tesla insurance. And anybody else will be shuffled off to the competitors who don't know that this person drives like a maniac. And so it'll make it much more difficult for all the other companies to actually get quality drivers, and much easier for Tesla to have the best, lowest risk pool at the best rate and still make a profit.
Yeah. I don't see Tesla insurance actually as a revenue. I don't think that Tesla is using it and expecting it to make money. It's part of a package for FSD and robotaxi. This is I think Jeff Lutz lives in Chicago. He has a Tesla insurance. And when he started to use FSD all the time, he's just basically always has FSD. His Tesla insurance fell dramatically, saving him almost a couple of $100 per month. And so the Tesla insurance is meant to just reduce the cost because they know you're safer if you're an FSD. Therefore, it can have reduced costs. And then it becomes this incredible package where if you buy a Tesla car and you have robotaxi or FSD in it, you may not have to pay insurance, or it's the equivalent to, or at least paying for the FSD itself, right? It's the insurance reduction can actually pay for the FSD itself. So this is going to change business car ownership significantly. But I don't believe that Tesla insurance is meant to be a revenue stream for Tesla.
Thoughts, Nick?
Yeah. So, okay. Tesla is behind by a long shot, and they're ahead by a long shot. They're behind by a long shot, the way you said, Brian, because they are only in a handful of states right now. They have an extreme uphill battle in many states. My state, Florida, for example, there is this stupid law that if you're going to offer car insurance in the state of Florida, you also have to offer home insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what nobody wants to do in the state of Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Offer home insurance. Right? It's a big, big problem. So that's one thing. And you're going to see that in those idiosyncrasies and all of the bureaucracy across state by state by state, right? So I'm just picking on my state as an example. When it comes to the data, right, there's nothing better than what Tesla has. As far as the actual technology, the actual product, there's nothing better. As far as a revenue source, this is the ultimate revenue source outside of something like FSD or outside of like Optimus or anything like that. It's no different than selling calls against your stock. But here's the difference. Let's use Jeff for example. Let's say Tesla's a $300 stock price. Hell, let's say 400, just make it fun. Tesla's at $400 a share. Right now, if you sell calls against your shares, say at $450 at that point, maybe you have about call it a 40 delta, meaning there's a 40% chance that your stock gets called away. But the second you throw FSD on, what that does is all of a sudden you're all the way out the money. Maybe you're at $1,000 and you get paid very little in premium, but the risk is so low, and that's how you get paid little. If I'm selling my calls, I like that because, yeah, I take very little risk and I get paid for it. And that's what Tesla gets to do. Tesla, when people use FSD, they get to get paid no matter what. When people just drive their Teslas on their own, they get paid no matter what. And it's perfectly distributed based on risk. Okay, slippage happens when you don't know the risk that you actually could incur, which is why you have companies like Geico or Progressive or whatever have higher rates than what Tesla does. Tesla has so much data that slippage shrinks and they can give it back to the end user because they're properly or more accurately assessing their risk. So it's, again, options, remember, it's just insurance. All options are insurance. It's the exact same thing. Insurance is such a beautiful market when business. You're the one collecting, right? Yeah. Berkshire Hathaway, arguably their best company is Geico, right? Like it's their insurance space prints them so much money. It's not sexy. It's not going to be the home runs that you see everyone want. It's not the big sexy software type margins, but guess what? It's consistent and it's reliable and it feeds you. It's not as sexy, just like energy. It's not the sexiest thing to talk about. Maybe it is for you, Herbert, but insurance isn't either. But it's just another thing that we're adding to the revenue line. It's another thing that's trickling in. Supercharging, not the sexiest thing, but it's printing money, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing with all these companies. They just keep printing money.
Yeah. So what we were doing is covering all the business unit that Tesla's in, and we're trying to say, is it market domination? The thing is, some of these like insurance or supercharging, or they're not necessarily like competing with others, or specifically insurance. They're not competing with others. The next topic here is manufacturing gigafactories. They're not competing with others. There's no market domination here per se, unless we want to change the definition. Tesla is obviously one of the leaders in creating manufacturing. You even heard Elon and the team joke at the earnings call. It's not something that you can just buy off the shelf, a factory off the shelf. This is something that differentiates them as they build their other products like energy megapacks and the Tesla vehicles. But yeah, that's arguably the factory is the product. That's what he calls it, but it's actually not a product, right? Unless it is.
And I would agree that a lot of the things that are most exciting to me are not the, what's the 0 to 60 on a robotaxi? I don't care. I don't want to go on that fast. I want it to print money. I want it to have utility. And you will always find people who find examples of how it won't work for them. I need to move bales of hay. What good is a robotaxi? Are you moving bales of hay in a taxi? Please don't do that. I don't think that's going to get you a very good rating on Uber.
You could with that trunk space, though.
You could, if it's yours, by all means. And actually, if it's a utility vehicle, I assume that they would have, floor mats in the back to prevent, cleaning issues that would arise from that. So really, you could. But if you need a truck, get a truck. What are you talking about?
Herbert, I got nothing to add. Like they're clearly the leaders in that.
Yeah.
Clearly leaders manufacturing. Herbert, did the Cybercab have any like carpet in it, or was it all like, I don't want to say plastic, but like was it all like a very easy?
Good question. I don't remember anymore, but it felt so comfortable in there. Honestly, I don't think that was plastic. There was no feeling that this was like a sterile hard surface. I do feel like the floor was regular, like what you would have in our current cars. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, like a weatherproof car, not like
Yeah.
not like a police car, but like a taxi.
We're going off topic again, guys.
Are we? Because I think this is the topic.
We're talking about bales of hay being delivered by robotaxis.
Correct. This is important stuff.
Okay. Do you think that Tesla could actually sell gigafactories and manufacturing? There was this discussion by a bunch of us saying that, yeah, they could possibly, sell the plans or something like that. But from the sounds of it, no, you can't do this. It's not something you can just sell a plan to. It's like a supply chain.
You don't sell the plan. You don't sell the plan, but I don't know if you've seen the Honda Prologue, the fourth best-selling EV last quarter or last month, is the Chevy Blazer with CarPlay. And so why wouldn't Stellantis say, hey, can we get a rebadged 3 or something like that? And by the way, being the fourth best selling EV is like being the fourth hottest chick in Sandusky. I'm sure it's valuable to you, but I mean, I feel like we could do better.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that listen, how do you sell a plant if it's something that you're constantly iterating on? Like you don't, and I think I get it. Like everybody wants to talk about these grandiose things. Let's just stick with the product roadmap we have right now before we talk about selling plants, right? Like I think we have enough on our plate right now than going outliers. I mean, even
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Selling batteries, selling, whole subsystems would be a much easier thing, but
Okay, AI. So we're talking about Tesla AI. Just this morning we saw that XAI is now valued at $40 billion. This is Elon's other company. We don't know yet if Tesla themselves will have a share ownership of XAI, but they're raising funding. But Tesla, of course, has one of the leaders in AI. Is Tesla's AI something that obviously is going to be used for the bot, going to be used for robotaxi, and how they're going to get return on investment for that? Tell me about that business. I mean, in many ways, it is market leading. It is market dominance because there's no one else out there that does vision-based AI like with all the data. And you need data, you need compute. And we know that Tesla is one of the leaders, the biggest supercomputers in the world, both in XAI, but also in a gigafactory in Texas. And then they have their dojo. So clearly, right? I mean, it's not clear because obviously this is going to be a race and we're still at the early stages. So we don't know where this goes, but it's a good lead.
Yeah, it's unquestionable that when it comes to real world and vision AI, that Tesla has a dominant lead in that. And I would say I would extend that also to their talent when it comes to standing up the physical side of these data centers. You know, I know XAI gets a lot of the attention. Listen, don't get it twisted. That was a lot of Tesla in the background that helped them do that because Tesla's had a lot of experience with this. But I think Tesla by far has the lead in this. No, I mean, just think about it this way. Nobody else is selling an AI product that can replace a human really in the real world other than Tesla. Like nobody. I mean, even if you think, okay, you can sit here and say, oh, well, you know, I can use XYZ LLMs to help me code. Yeah, to help you code. It's not replacing you, right? It's not replacing the human. The things Tesla's working on literally take the human out of the equation. And I think that is extremely profound. So I think just in many ways, Tesla is the most underrated, least talked about AI company in the world. And it will happen. There will be a moment where all of a sudden CNBC, Fox Business, all these pundits, Wall Street will finally be like, oh my God, this sleeping giant of AI company has been underneath, sitting here the whole time. And it's going to happen. I mean, again, just look at who NVIDIA is the world's most valuable company now. Jensen has record sales of GPUs year after year. Who's he selling them to? Elon Musk. So like it's right place, right time, right hardware, right, flops and special things happen. Throw in a little Elon Musk genius. I mean, come on.
And while NVIDIA is only selling a small percentage of their chips to Elon's various companies, that percentage can be the over demand, the surplus of demand that drives up all the prices for everyone. So that is a very fortunate bit of circumstance for him. Is Tesla? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's. You're right, but keep in mind the way this really looks like is like, say Elon's only getting 10% of all the GPUs that NVIDIA sells, but everything else that NVIDIA sells is made up by 0.01%. But then Tesla comes in with 10%, right? It's like insanely large in comparison to what everything else adds up to make their numbers.
Right. Yes, but I think that their 10%, and I think their 10% drives up the price for everyone else by more than 10% because it takes up all the slack in the production. So does Tesla have an AI advantage in this space? Absolutely. They've got the best, they've got the most processing power dedicated to this task. There are bigger computers out there, certainly a number of them that governments probably have that we don't know about, but they're not doing this task. They're doing other tasks. What if Tesla's software isn't the best? Well, their data gathering is not just the best. It is so far out in ahead that everybody else's data combined can't compete. Well, we can simulate it. Yeah, we can all simulate it. It's not the same, and we know that. So even if Tesla doesn't have the best software, they have the lead without a doubt. And As each problem is ticked off the list, you've got another one you can tackle and more compute left over for that. So yeah.
Yep. And we've done a show already explaining how, the manufacturing and gigafactories combined with AI together, the speed by which Elon was able to get XAI up and running with 100,000 H100s was so fast. But by the time its XAI's competitors, Meta or Grok, even get their data centers up and running, Tesla's already got this 200,000, and then there's going to be 100 million giga hour, or is it training hours in a few years from now, versus the other competitors will be at 100,000 training hours. And the same thing, that's what's happening with Tesla as well, because their ability to build these data centers like the Gigafactory, Tesla's Gigafactory Cortex, and then this AI, right? This massive video data that's fitting in this massive data center. It's going to be hard for others to catch up. They're leading. They're going to win the space. Specifically for, AI is not just AI, right? You've talked about that before, Nick. We're talking about very specific kind of AI that Tesla's going to win in. We got to spend some time talking about robots, humanoid robots, also non-humanoid robots. That will probably happen in the future. Do you guys think that Tesla is going to be market dominance in the humanoid robot space?
I would love to jump in on this one, and I hope I don't get you in trouble, Herbert. But let me just say some things. So Herbert and oh my goodness,
Scott Walter.
Scott Walter, thank you, appreciate you. Herbert and Scott Walter did a fantastic interview with Brett Adcock, is that how you say his name, from Figure.
Mm-hmm.
And while there wasn't, it seemed like Brett wanted to avoid talking about certain things. What I took away from that interview is that everything that Tesla was trying to do to incorporate into the forearms and have tendons, it's something that Figure and Brett seemed skeptical about, and they weren't sure if it could be done. Seeing that and seeing the confidence that Tesla has, Elon has, they even had the hand at the We Robot event, seeing that they're flexing on that point.
Mm-hmm.
Before we even talk about the AI part of it, the brain part of it, just looking at that part, before we even talk about manufacturing and all that, the fact that I can take that, like, that's a very clear apples to apples. You say, and I think Figure would be the only other company out there that would say is comparable to Tesla with this, and Optimus, that I've seen. I'm not you guys. I don't have a company that's helping people, consulting, all that. But seeing those two in apples to apples, one saying, yeah, there's a lot of challenges that, and the other saying, no, that's what we're doing. That's the right thing to do. To me, that alone puts Tesla ahead of everybody else. Now, you add in their prowess when it's AI, you add in their prowess with manufacturing, you add in their prowess with setting up these amazing clusters, you add in their prowess with just general software, you add in their prowess with energy, you add in their prowess with over-the-air updates. You start to couple all this in, it's what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it all piles up on each other.
Yeah, so I think the robot market, Tesla absolutely is going to be the market dominance in this space. Just again, speed of manufacturing, the quality, like you just said, Nick, the ability for this bot to be just, as you know, in terms of the hardware, because of the first principle thinking about the hands and just the great robot SpaceX technology and Tesla's technology being able to all work together. There's unmatched. There's no one that can do the hardware like Tesla can. And then of course the brains. So, but the more important thing is just mass production. Who's going to be able to create thousands and hundreds of thousands and a million, by the time that others have set up their factories and they're only just thinking about it right now, by the time they do that, Tesla's already at the 10 millionth, bot spitting them out. Now, the market is so big though, that I don't think that it's going to be Tesla, maybe let's say 60% of the market or something like that, and then a lot of other smaller players. And the reason why, and I've had this debate a lot with people that are going, don't you know that it's going to be just like the electric vehicle market? The EV market, thousands of companies formed, thousands of companies failed because they can't get to profitability. And this is what's going to happen for this market too. There's a couple really big differences. One is that the EV market, the margins are very, very small, very tiny little margins. And so it's a lot easier for companies to fail. The second big issue is that EVs have one use case, transportation, getting you from A to B. Tesla bots and humanoid bots have unlimited use cases. So if one bot company formed and they go, oh, okay, I'm not going to be the general humanoid bot anymore because Tesla's won that space, then I'll focus on one specific area that I'm going to make a sumo bot that Tesla doesn't have. And a sumo bot can carry 1,000 pounds and Tesla can't do it. There's so many things you could do to find yourself a niche in an area. Now, they're all going to be niches. So I'm not saying that they'll die, but there will be one massive winner. I'm not sure it's like a winner take all like robotaxi yet, but it's basically Tesla will be the biggest player for sure in this space at this point. They've got everything in place. I think Elon said it best at the earnings call, didn't he? No one has the brains like we do. No one has the mass scale of production that we do. And they're already ahead now. So it's going to be hard for anybody to catch up to this point.
Yeah, Herbert, the only part that I think I would disagree with that on, and I know we got to go now, but the only part I would disagree is I don't think that, like, I almost agree exactly what you're saying on how this will unfold. I think there'll be a lot of niche companies for niche segments. I don't think it'll be like a sumo, like you're saying, that can carry 1,000 pounds, because that's still the same physical embodiment of a human, right? There's no reason if Tesla has, the general software, they can create one. Where I could see it would be like if you want to have a dedicated bot to clean windows on skyscrapers that just goes up, and like I could see like little things like that. Again, not saying that you could just have
the market's so big. That's just the problem. I agree with you. So today what we did was we reviewed all of these businesses that Tesla's in. For each one of them, we looked at whether or not we think the market, Tesla has a chance to become a market dominance by 2030. We talked about electric vehicles, commercial vehicles, battery and energy storage, solar energy, charging infrastructure, FSD and robotaxi. We talked about insurance services, manufacturing gigafactories, AI, the bot. We didn't really talk about Tesla Dojo, but that's, missed that bit. And we did talk about auto builder as part of battery and technology. And then, of course, there's robotaxi. A lot more to talk about there. Thanks, everybody. We'll do this every week. Appreciate you.
We've got the after show.
Just stay on the channel here and you'll get sent right to the after show right away. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.